Electromagnetic pulse, aka EMP, CME, coronal mass ejection, things that fry electronics. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness, and that's what we're talking about today. There's a lot of misinformation out there about EMPs, CMEs, those kind of things. So stay tuned to learn my knowledge about it. I'm not the end-all be-all. I'm not the complete expert on it, but my advice, my recommendations. But first, please subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, check out the links in the description, Patreon, we're doing awesome stuff over there, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos of awesome content. A lot of stuff we can't talk about here on this platform. So check us out there. Also, Amazon storefront, link in the description, a lot of good stuff there. If you buy stuff from Amazon, please follow somebody's affiliate link, some channel that you like, their affiliate link, because then you give them the 4% instead of Amazon pocketing the 4%. So please make use of that. Please subscribe. I already said that. Please stay tuned. This portion of the video, I would like to talk about EMPs. During the live stream a couple nights ago with Gray Man Prepping, which was a lot of fun, by the way, that was pretty cool. People brought up the questions about EMPs. And first off, I meant to film this out in the woods where it would be a little prettier, but I had to run some errands. So here I am, driving and talking. So I hope you don't mind. EMPs. Some people are under the impression that, and if an EMP happens, that all electronics are fried. That is not necessarily the case. There are a lot of variables. How the electronic device was built, was designed, may have an effect on the situation, on how well it stands up to it or doesn't. Also could do with grounding, how well the system is grounded, how well the system is isolated, meaning ground, or like isolated from ground, isolated from the atmosphere where the EMP is transmitting through. That could be, vehicles have tires which are made of rubber, which kind of isolated a little bit. Vehicles will still be affected the way they're set up, but not all vehicles will be. Just because you have a newer vehicle, it may still work in an EMP situation. The use of Faraday cages, yes, that definitely works. Basically a metal container that will conduct the EMP transmission, basically, that has a non-conductive lining that you have materials inside. Like, say, some people like using ammo cans with rubber lining. Some people like using metal trash cans with rubber lining. Anything that you can do to isolate it, whatever you put inside, well, from the metal outside. Could be what is called a Faraday cage. What other things? There's this thing, an EMP shield, that you can install in your vehicle. From what I've heard, it works well and has been tested. May or may not be in use by the government. I'm not sure on that one. I don't have a way to create an EMP in my front yard on my vehicle to test it to make sure it works. And if I did and it didn't work and I fried my vehicle, that would really suck. So I personally don't have an EMP shield. I'm not talking trash about them. I don't know that much about them. They may work, and it may be worth the money. But an EMP isn't 100%. So remember that. What are some causes of EMPs? An EMP could be a high-altitude nuclear blast that could cause an EMP, electromagnetic pulse. That's what it is, electromagnetic forces transmitting through the atmosphere. It could also be caused by what was called a CME, a coronal mass ejection, which is a solar flare. A strong enough solar flare from the sun could cause an EMP. It has in the past. The last time it did, though, we weren't so reliant upon electronics. So it didn't have a massive effect on society. I forget the year when it happened. I'm sure a lot of people out there know the year. So what does an EMP mean for me? For you? An EMP means that a lot of our infrastructure could be affected. Not all of it. Some of it is protected. A lot of it isn't. Power grid could go down. Power plants could be affected. Traffic lights could be affected. Planes could be affected. Some situations, some planes may fall from the sky and crash. Trains, transportation, GPS. There's a lot of things. Just think about it. Your iPhone, your Android, whatever it may be. The internet may be affected. Some situations, some of it is protected, so it may not, like I said, be widespread. And an EMP, if it happens, affects a certain area. I don't know all the specifics about size and, there's so many variables. Variables also include, so basically, it only affects certain areas. It's not going to affect the entire planet. It may affect a portion of a country. In some situations, an entire country or several countries, depending on how big they are. It may affect, a major city. Like if one happened over the East Coast, it may affect, most of the East Coast or most of the West Coast or whatever. There are so many variables, though. Variables also include atmospheric conditions. It includes topography of the area. There's a lot of things. And the angle of basically the declination, the angle at which the EMP is traveling. So it happened over here. Well, areas further away, if there's mountains in the way, if there's a lot of trees, stuff like that, may affect it, may lessen the effects. But an EMP isn't 100%. It's not global. It is a, oh, wow, I don't know if you saw that. That was a Lambo. Don't see too many of those out here where I live. It had a flat OD green paint job. Pretty cool. Not that I would ever want to even own a Lambo. If somebody gave me a Lambo, I'd sell it and buy preps with it. Anyway, yeah, EMPs. It's one of those things to think about. The way I like doing it is I just don't rely on anything that's electronic. That's the way I do it. So that's one of the recommendations. Continuing the talk about EMPs. There's a lot to it. How do you prepare for it? Don't rely on electronics is one way to prepare for an EMP. What's another way to prepare for an EMP? Well, what's your vehicular situation like? What if you have to bug out in an EMP? Well, depending on the vehicle, the make, the model, stuff like that, when they started using computers, like electronic ignition, stuff like that. So what you want to look for is an old point style ignition. No computers on board. I think of 70s and older. There are some in the 80s up to like the mid 80s, maybe even late 80s, depending on the make, model of the vehicle. But I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, unless you're talking about some exotic vehicle that's random, you're talking Ford, Chevy, Dodge, the American makes, through the 70s, you're probably good. I like, say 70s and older, Broncos, Blazers, Ram Chargers, Ford trucks, Chevy trucks, and Dodge trucks. Full size, not smaller. I love the early Broncos. I love the Toyota FJs. There's a lot of cool vehicles out there. And they're great for like four-wheeling and stuff like that, some of the smaller vehicles. But you're thinking bug out. You want to be able to carry enough stuff. You want to be able to carry your stuff. If you're thinking about a bug out vehicle that's EMP proof, you can, like we talked about earlier, EMP shield your newer vehicle. And you may be fine. Like I said, I have no proof myself that actually works, but it may very well. So you could go that route. Or if you're thinking an older vehicle, less expensive, easier to work on, especially long term to keep running. You still got to worry about fuel though. So there's a lot of stuff in that situation. But older vehicles, and I say my favorite is full-size long bed trucks. because with a camper shell, you can, a topper, whatever you want to call it, you basically turn it into an SUV. And everything you put in the bed can be protected from the weather. So I really like that. Yeah, one of those three, I would just stick with the American-made vehicles because there's not very many other full-size trucks, especially back then. International, though, that's a good one. International makes some good ones. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any others. So that is a good EMP-proof vehicle. Some people make EMP-proof garages, shops. Get a metal building, ground it all properly, put actually kind of like lightning rods around the four corners with stringers with metal wire across them, like make a grid around the outside of it. Ground the vehicle or ground the structure to it really well also. Then you can build EMP resistant platforms inside. You can rubber line the whole building if you want. I don't know. There's a lot to it, but very few people want to go that route. But the fact is, what it comes down to is EMPs aren't the end-all be-all. Like I said before, don't worry that it's going to put down everything. But if you want to be ready for it, if you have a newer vehicle, EMP shield, maybe an option. Older vehicle, and as far as your stuff you want to keep, your ham radios, I wouldn't even worry about GPS because the system probably will be down afterwards anyway. Even if the EMP or the satellites and everything are EMP proof and they're not in the area, the military will turn off the civilian side of things because they will need it, and they will be concentrating on probably fighting a war if it's a nuclear EMP. If it's a solar flare, nah, then maybe. But anyway, any electronic devices that you want to keep, whether it be cell phones, whether it be tablets, whether it be chips like SD cards and stuff like that to keep memory on, to keep manuals, information, all stuff like that, keep it in a Faraday cage, an ammo can that's rubber lined, a trash can that's rubber lined. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing it, but keep your stuff in there that you want to be safe from an EMP. Yeah, EMPs. The best way I find to prep for an EMP is just do not rely on any electronic devices, anything electronic. Have other ways to go about doing things. Have dirt bikes, have older vehicles, don't rely upon GPS. Have map and compass and know how to use them, land navigation, those kind of things. And as far as off-grid power systems, if you're going to go that route, then the inverters, all the stuff, all the electronic, all the stuff that goes along with the solar setup or wind setup, have those in a Faraday cage. Have them ready to go if an EMP happens. If you are currently on an off-grid situation, the ones you have in use, the in-use ones, may get fried. So have backups. You can also do that. Have a backup to anything electronic that you want. Hopefully you're not reliant upon it. Hopefully it's just a situation you'd like to have. Make life easier. I get it. No problem there. But try to plan your preparedness to be as 1800s as you can by doing things the old school way. For me, that's the best way. May not be for you, but that's my best advice. And to be aware and to protect anything that be aware of the threat and to protect whatever you have that you want to have after an EMP type thing. Like I said, a solar flare, there's not much we can do about it, not much warning. High burst EMP nuclear device, hopefully we'll have some warning about it. Hopefully the government will tell people about it. But don't rely on that either. So just be as knowledgeable as possible. Keep your head on a swivel. Pay attention to what's going on around us. World events, those kind of things. And prepare the best you can. It's one of those things that it's not the end of the world. It's not like, oh my gosh, everything's done. We're fried. Will things be more difficult? Yes, but that's why we prepare. That's why we have food storage. That's why we grow our own food, produce our own calories, all this stuff. Self-reliance, self-sufficiency, we're back to that, those self words that I love. let me adjust myself here. I'm kneeling down here, and my knees aren't as good as they used to be. Yeah, those self-words, self-sufficiency. The more you go in that direction, the more you're independent of the system that relies on things like electronics, like on-demand food delivery, those kind of things. So, to wrap up the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, share the videos, do the things. Spread the love in the community also. Sub to all those other prepper channels. I had an awesome live stream the other night with Gray Man Prepping. It was my first collaboration live stream. Had a lot of fun. That's where we talked about kind of this thing on there a little bit. And I thought it was good a video idea since people were talking about it, wanting to know about it and stuff. I'm not the end-all be-all expert. Not saying that, I'm not trying to act like it. But that's just my advice, my information, my knowledge. Prep a little every day and prep at a peace of mind, not out of fear. And remember that prepping is living insurance. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day and blessings to you and yours.